Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic would be ANTLR for index testing. This is today's agenda. We'll be starting the session with some of the what and why questions, and with that we'll be concluding our presentation with a demonstration. And so this would be the agenda for today. First of all, understanding what grammar is, then what a parse tree is, and understanding what the process of parsing is. Then knowing what ANTLR is, knowing who uses ANTLR, which companies, which firms are currently working on ANTLR, and what all things have been developed using ANTLR. Then is the testing in ANTLR, and we'll be demonstrating everything at the last. So as stated by the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, grammar is a set of rules that explains how words are used in a language. For example, we can consider a case of an as in present in the English grammar, that we know that an is used only with the words which have a vowel sound. So this mechanism where a rule is being assigned, this means now an in itself is just a token or just a word, but how it behaves and when it is to be used is being defined by the grammar for that particular language. Now, why grammar? To bring out order out of chaos, and as you know, we all adore chaos because we love to produce order. Suppose if there is no grammar, no one will understand how the sentence formation procedure will take place, and thus we use a grammar which provides us a standardization way in which a correct sentence can be differed from a wrong sentence. Now, what type of grammar we are focusing on? There are majorly 4 types of grammars. We, along with ANTLR, will be focusing on the context-free grammar, that is CFG. Now, what is CFG? CFG is a grammar which has a quadruple. Quadruple means a tuple with 4 elements, not a tuple actually, a collection of 4 elements. So, it has 4 type of things. One is the non-terminal symbols. That is the placeholders that are being substituted by the terminal symbols, and then is our terminals, which are the final strings of which the final string is being produced. Then is our start symbol, from which the production starts, from where the sentence formation we can say starts. Now it must be taken care that the start symbol must always be a non-terminal because it is to be substituted by the terminal, so it should be a non-terminal. Now, next one is the production rules. After knowing that, for example, consider English. We know that our set from which we can pick up the words is A to Z. Now, this would be our terminals, and the set of production rules are the grammar rules which will be implied on these terminals to see whether the sentence formation process is correct or not. Now this is an example. We'll be considering it for making a grammar for palindrome. Now the alphabet set which we will be using is A and B. Now so this is S. Here is a grammar rule, out of which S is the start symbol as well as a non-terminal symbol. So by non-terminal I mean that it can be replaced by further symbols to obtain a single sentence. Now and A and B is the terminal nodes where the sentence formation. When all the strings, suppose we have a collection of A, A, S, B, B. This means further substitution can take place. But when the string contains all the non-terminal symbol nodes, that means a sentence is being formed. Now this is how it will be parsed. Now consider the input string is being given to this grammar to check whether it's valid or not is ABA, BA. Now how it will work is that it will first take, initially we will be having S, this S will be substituted, first by ASA, like here we can say ASA, then this S in between will be substituted by BSB, this pipe symbol means OR, here we can substitute S for either ASA or BSB or A or B or epsilon. So here after means replacing it the S with BSB, and then finally we are replacing it with the A. Now and how do we read the tree? we read the tree from left terminal to right terminal node. For example, here will be read like A, B, A, B, A, which will be the correct string. Now, in further slide, I will explain what impact does a parser tree has on checking whether a string is grammatically correct or not.
So this parser tree is just a representation of the rule that we had, right? The rule that you had.
Parser tree is actually basically every string which can be developed or decomposed into its corresponding parse tree is called grammatically correct. If a parse tree cannot be generated from a set of string, that means it's not grammatically correct. And this is just a, you can say, ASTL, abstract syntax tree, which is used to show how the grammar is actually being manipulated when it is been introduced into the process of parsing.
So this parse tree is a representation of that ABA.
Yes, it's the representation of that ABA, which is actually a palindrome. We can read it like ABA, which is a palindrome. So it's grammatically correct.
And the rule that you had for us in the previous slide.
Yes, sir.
What does epsilon mean?
Epsilon means actually epsilon is a debatable topic. Some scholars say that epsilon, since there can be no empty string, so epsilon should not be used in the grammar. But other set of people say that epsilon may be used. It's used, for example, consider a string of ABBA. Now in ABBA, first we'll be substitute ASA, then BSB. Now we have got our string to be ABBA, which is a perfect palindrome. So we'll be substituting this S with an epsilon. That would be means like ABBA it will get, which is actually an palindrome. So it's null string. But actually in languages, for example, there is no null string in English. It means natural languages, so it's a debatable topic. But I have included it. Now, okay, here I have put parse tree in a bold. So let's now understand what actually a parser is. Now this slide is very important. It will be giving the foundation of ANTLR. And so here we can see that a parse tree for a grammar is a tree where root is the start symbol. The start symbol here is S, which is the root of the tree, and then interior nodes are the non-terminals of G. Now these are not terminal nodes, and these are internal would be S. S means every non-terminal string, so that it can be further substituted with terminals or either another non-terminals. And the leaf nodes are always terminals because from that we obtain our final string. Yeah, this is a very important line. This I was saying before. A terminal string is considered valid with respect to a grammar only if there exists a valid parse tree for it. And if this thing is not true, for example, a wrong string can never have a parse tree with respect to a certain grammar. So finally, what is ANTLR? Okay, ANTLR stands for another tool for language recognition. Now it's some of the textual definition of it. It's a powerful parser generator for reading, processing, executing, or translate structured text or a binary file. To understand this, first we have to understand the process of parsing, how parsing is actually done. Here I have explained that from a grammar, ANTLR generates a parser that can build and walk a parse tree. So the main thing, important thing is here is what is a parser? What is this parser? So now here a parser is a program that takes an input as a string as well as a grammar and generate a corresponding AST for it. So this is actually three-way process. 3 steps are involved in this process. These are lexical analysis. Here in lexical analysis, this string ABABA is decomposed into the simpler tokens, which are then converted into a stream of tokens, which is further being checked with respect to the grammar rules. So now this is syntactic analysis. Now syntactic analysis means analyzing the syntax of a certain thing. So in syntactic analysis, we take this stream of tokens and we apply the grammar rules on this and see whether a parse tree can be generated from it or not. This is the second phase. Then is the semantic parsing. Semantic means understand, okay, my sentence is there, it's grammatically correct, but what it actually means. That is this meaning of that formed sentence is being conceived in semantic parsing. Yeah, as we can see, if an expression is valid, I mean it's a grammatically valid sentence, then a meaning is associated with the expression and necessary actions are taken. So this explains the process of what parser actually does.
And every character is a token here.
So it depends on the grammar, sir. For example, I am giving ABABA as a string, and my language take two alphabets only, A and B. So A and B are here the two tokens, and a language may contain one or more than one of that token. For example, our string was ABABA. So A and B are here two unit means tokens, and they can be used either once or multiple times to form an input string. Now it can be a single letter or it can be a word also. It depends how we want to put it.
Depends on the grammar that we have.
Okay, for example, I introduce a new word in English grammar. It's called GAU, and GAU will have a collection of GEU. So this here by our parser would be treated as a single token, although it's means composed of it. Depends how we are how we are using the tokens in our grammar.
So can we see that individual identity of any grammar for lexical analysis?
Grammar is basically a set of rules. It's a static thing. What changes is the input string, as we can see. Grammar once defined remains constant. What always changes is the input string, which is then mapped according to the grammar. So you can we can say that a certain token will be always fixed. For example, if I take a grammar of x and y and I replace AB with x and y, so means tokens actually have a meaning only for that particular instance. We can always switch it. If we, for example, if we change the alphabet set to xy, then the input string would, if this input string would be given, it would be in the very first phase error will occur. That is lexical analysis, where a token string is being formed from a string. So basically there is no significance of A and B. It's all about the grammar and how it controls it.
So in the grammar that you are, sorry, just a question. Like in that grammar string, now here we are saying that A and B are your terminal symbols, is it?
So,
in this case.
Sir, when I started this, I said that consider the production rule for a palindrome with alphabet set.
Right.
This alphabet set for English would be for English would be A to Z,
Right.
and for example for math would be 0 to 9.
Sure.
So this can always change. It depends.
Understood. I was just saying that for this particular grammar that you are defining
Yeah.
now, in this case, again going back to your earlier slide where you had those, like four parts. So where you had four parts, like you have the starter and like the terminal,
Yes.
non-terminal. And so in this case, is it fair to say that the leaves are always going to be either A or B?
Yes, leaves are always going to be A and B. So actually there are basic types of grammars. For example, in context-free grammar, our final string which is being generated should be a collection of non-terminals. Sorry, correction of terminals. And since here A and B are terminals, because no further substitution for A and B is given. S can be replaced by A, but A cannot be replaced by anything.
Correct.
So it's a
So
terminal.
that's what I was saying, that if I just look at this particular grammar, then in this case my terminals are A and B, because
Yes.
they can be at the leaves. And
So
S
yes.
is the starter or whatever that term was.
Yes, it's a start as well as the non-terminal symbol, and
But the start would always be non-terminal. Right?
yes, it will always be a non-terminal, because if we are having a starter to be a terminal, then it will not ever be expanded. So there is no need for that. Now, in a nutshell, what parser is, or what Antelar is. Antelar tool converts a grammar into programs, which are called the recognizers, or the recognizers. There are the Java programs that recognizes a sentence in the language described by the grammar. Now, it basically what Antelar does is it gives us a parser. basic, not even parser, a recognizer. And what's the difference between a parser and a recognizer is that a recognizer gives us a output, for a binary string of output for whether the current string is valid or not. Whereas in a parser we can only see it using a tree, whether the tree is being generated or not. On that basis we kind of judge whether the sentence is grammatically correct or not. Yes, for example, we are writing a grammar which will check whether an input string is a correct form of JSON or not. Like we have rules in JSON that every entity will have a key value pair separated by a comma, and it will have a curly braces in it. So it will generate support classes. These support classes would be generated for it. Grammar is supplied to an Antler, and the version is 4, and it will generate corresponding classes. This is the visitor. Basically, what Lexer does is the first stage, that is lexical analysis, and what parser does is generating a parse tree for that. Basically, everything works on the basis of context. Here, suppose initially when a parse tree acts on my grammar parser acts on a grammar, it generates a CTX, a context, which is initially punched to the start of the tree, and as we query to that CTX, it can move either down or towards the child, whatever we want. But why Antler? So Antler is basically used because it generates a recursive decent parser. There are two types of parser, top-down and bottom-up. So it works on top-down parser, and it has a good error reporting mechanism. So it's preferred, and the parser generated by Antler is more or less readable. Okay. Now the parser, as I'll be showing it in the further demos, that what the parser is being generated, you can either generate the parser in form of a tree, like a CUI tree, means written in a string, or as well as a GUI tree, means that an image has been generated for that particular tree. So, and the third advantage is that it's an open source and it's widely used. So if at all you have any bug, it can be easily solved. It can be helped by the community. And when to use Antler? Antler's main use, the most important, is a DSL, domain specific language. It means that, for example, I have a domain. Right now, I'm working on a movie, and for that movie, I'm working on some alien creatures, and I want to write a language for them. Now, this is a domain that I'm specifying, and specific to that, I want a language. So for that, I'll be first generating the grammar and correspondingly applying Antler on it to further check whether the statements are grammatically correct or not, whether they follow the desired pattern. And we can one more advantage of Antler is that we can not only check whether the string is correct or not, we can visit it entirely with the help of a tree. Thus, it helps in obtaining the content which are being present in a tree, so they can be used for further computations. For example, in a tree, I am specifying some certain value, and the user want to say that from that grammar, if a number has been provided, for example, my favorite number is 5. This grammar is being given to a grammar. There is a grammar. It has been supplied to an Antler, and correspondingly, its parser class has been generated. Now, from that written sentence, I have to access which number is my favorite. So I'll be traversing the tree, and in the tree, when I know that the last position is reserved for the number. So from that, I'll be traversing to that position and picking up the value which is present in that context. So okay, I'll just show. So suppose this is our tree. Now suppose we have a value of 5 here. Now I want to go to that value. So first of all, I'll go to the child of S, which is S. I'll check, and then further from here context, I'll go to its child, and then I'll go to its child and fetch the value. Does anybody care about Antler? Yes, we do. Twitter has a search engine which means all the queries are being passed using Antler. Then NetBeans ID means it recognizes the language of code written in C++ with the help of Antler. Oracle uses it with its one of the IDs, and Nordis also uses it, Antler, in its project to achieve DSL, a domain specific language, which we are currently working on, and many more companies. And any alternatives? There are a lot of alternatives. For example, Gold, it can be worked. Now this C#, Java, Python, Visual Basic is the like Antler gives all the Java files. These are all the Java files which are being given. It can give many other files, for example C#, Erlang, etc. So now for Gold, the output for that grammar can be generated in C#, Java, Python, etc. But it's not very popular because means you can say lack of community recognition or the parsing techniques they use. For example, maybe there are actually many parsing techniques. What this one Antler uses is LL star, which is a top-down approach. So it's one more biggest advantage if I have basically it's one of the most biggest advantage is that it can easily recognize the ambiguous grammars. For example, ambiguity is a condition where we have a string, and for that string there are more than one trees that are being possibly built. So now this is something like a fuzzy kind of thing. So to resolve this, we write a code in such a way that it avoids the properties of association and the operator precedence, which are two major causes of disturbances.
So with Antler we don't get those multiple options of
that only I was showing from book that it automatically with its especially the Antler version 4, it automatically reduces the ambiguity from the grammar and take out the grammar which would be left recursive. So it's like that, it automatically does that.
So grammar is the rule, right?
Grammar is the rule which governs.
If I am setting a rule which is according to my need, how the Antler will identify that, and if it understood wrong and it eliminates anything which I don't need.
Now there is no language which has a alphabet of A and B. It's my custom language with only two variables, and now this is the grammar rule which I want to act on it. I just give it to the Antler and it converts it into the corresponding Java codes. This Java codes help us to visit lexically and analyze the tokens, visit the tree and parse the tree first of all, and visitor to visit the tree from which the CTX can be moved. So it's all basically everything is custom. We have to just define our set of alphabets, our set of rules, and just give it to the Antler, and it acts according to that. It generates the Java files which does actual work for us. Yeah. Now for testing the Antler, suppose I have generated a grammar. Now I want to apply the Antler tool on that grammar, and I want to see whether a string which I am giving as an input is valid or not. For this we can use a test rig. This is a class being provided by Antler. Antler is basically we get a jar of Antler, which is currently we are working on version 4.5. From that jar we fetch this method. We take this class and we basically at the background reflection works. We just don't need to specify any name of the class, whether a parser should act on it, whether a visitor should act on it. It's been decided automatically because since we are using the concept of reflection in it. test uses Java reflection to invoke the compiled recognition. Okay. Now I'll be heading forward to the demonstration. Now we'll test whether a string of terminals is grammatically correct or not. First, I'll be checking it on our terminal.
All the files which are dynamically generated, they get used somewhere, right? Either it's a lexical analysis where.
Sir, okay, I'll tell you how it is. Sir, actually,
most
I have.
for this.
For visiting every focus and.
So basically, what it will do is it will so you have specified some grammar rules. So it will validate whatever input you are giving according to that grammar rule, and then it will create an ASP information. And then you can visit that tree. Okay, so you can visit each and every node of that tree and go over the properties.
Sir, actually, I messed up with the directory structure, and now it's not able to recognize it where it is. I'll explain you. First of all, what we do is we suppose we have the SRC folder. In that we have Java and Scala. In that we make an additional folder of Antler, and in that we create a new text file, name it as Hola Island .g4. G4 is the extension for the grammar file, and in that grammar file we write all the rules. I'll show you how rules are being written. This is now this is a type of a sample grammar. I've taken a case study in which we have an island called Hola Island. Okay. Now there a robbery takes place, and it's a remote island, and a robbery takes place, and the people out there catches two guys. They are identical. One guy lives in the Hola Island, and another one is from somewhere XYZ place, who is a thief who has come to the island to rob its riches. Now, and suddenly we observe that Saransh has just visited to that island with his laptop. So now the task for Saransh is to identify which person is from Hola Island and which one is not. Now Saransh knows that that the language being spoken in or written in Hola Island is a bit different than the general English language, and it has some rules which are kind of weird. So let's see what rules the language out there has. Now in Hola Island, every sentence begins with the word Hola. That's fixed. You have to write it like that, and in between comes the rest of the words, which are, and then at the end we have heaven. And this is to be written. For example, hello, I am Sahil, heaven. Okay. Now the words can be in words. It's optional. Star means it's optional to write it or not. It's our wish. So here words means A to Z. This means that a single character can be done. For example, the first character of every word would be a capital letter. So you have used A to Z. Any one single character can come here, and then rest of the characters of that particular word have to be small, and they can be any. For example, I can just write I as well as am. In am, my A would be capital and M would be small. Then is the word gap. They don't believe in using numbers because they hate maths like me, and they don't believe in using spaces because it parts you. So they use underscore instead of spaces. So, and this WS means that we'll be ignoring all the backslash ends and returns and tabs in between. So, knowing these rules, Saransh now has the capability to identify who the actual culprit is. So, a piece of paper has been provided to both the peoples, and they are said to write their names in it. So let's see.
And WS, those are the stop words.
WS is actually not the stop words. This is actually used to identify which things you have to skip. For example, if there is a tab in between my sentence, we'll skip that tab and it will pick up all the words which are missing. So now Now these are means some responses which will be testing whether it's been written by a man who lives in Ola Island or not. So for that, first of all, as you can see from this class path, first of all we need the Antelar 4 jar through which we can test the things using the test rig method. So we provide a class path for that. Then alias are my heroes since they save a lot of time. We just define it once and we will be using it like multiple times. So here I have designed a alias. Okay, this will help us further in means like testing whether the string is correct or not. And then is our alias for grun. Grun, which is used to means represent a test rig in the console. We can use any alias. Generally, we use grun to represent it. And then is our Antelar for Ola grammar. Now here, when we type this statement, this means that to Antelar we are giving Ola grammar. Now what its task would be to generate the possible files from that. Now as we see in this folder,
You can do a LS
these are considering this is our class, and now we type the above statement. What it will do is generate all the Java classes automatically. It will be generated, and these are the Java files which we will be using to identify whether a correct grammar being provided is correct or not. And we have the files, we need to compile them. So I will be running Java on this. Java files will be ready to process. As you can see, the dot class files have been generated. These files have been now compiled. Now grun. Now this is the command being used. Grun is to represent that we are using a test rig on Hello grammar which has Hola rules. These Hola rules refer to this Hola rules is the very first. This is the starting symbol S. From here the our grammar starts and it goes till the end. So the start symbol would be presented here. We'll be copying that, and we are using the GUI version. We can also write -3, which I will show you. Okay, now we'll be specifying the grammar. What do you think? Is it correct or not? I'll be showing you the grammar rules. Seeing these rules, I mean, any guesses whether this input string is correct or not? The input string is this: hello, Ola _ heaven.
Looks correct.
False. Right? False.
It's actually false. Not correct.
It's
Because
A to Z.
we can-
Right? It is false. First is
Now
only
we
first
use, I'll show the past one. We use Ctrl D to end our statement, and when we type in Ctrl D, our pass key comes out. Okay, this is Ola _ heaven. Okay, it's been decomposed like this. So, who said all that it's correct? You are correct, sir. Sir, actually, words has a star on it.
Yeah, so
that
it
means it
is
can be
optional,
skipped.
right?
But word gap should always be there, which is actually understood. So there should be hola underscore heaven is a correct word. Okay. Now, considering a case, since they are said to write their names, I will be first taking a correct statement. Control D to show the answer. Now, why the statement is false? I'll be showing you the statement. Can anybody say? And if you want to see the grammar, please.
Third one, right?
Yeah, the third one, the highlighted one.
The tan has two capitals.
Yes, sir. That's the correct one. Since here we specify that only single capital letter would be there, and if we write two capital letters, it would be grammatically wrong. Okay. So that's all how it works. You can test any number of strings if you want more dimension.
What about the skipping characters?
So you say a string, I'll type it right now. Like what?
Say hello.
Hola underscore I am and then you put a enter. I can do that, right? Or you can just take it as a
Hola underscore
I
underscore
A capital M small and then
You can give a tab, right?
and then a tab.
Give a tab.
then
That's it.
sir,
Or
heaven.
like heaven is it?
Understood.
Underscore.
I personally don't know whether it will work.
No, I think you should work. I think you should ignore
It
that.
will work.
But that will be good.
Okay, let's see where we will found.
So it does not recognize tab.
Okay, sir, actually after tab should be present after am, but we have inserted a tab in between. There should be an underscore.
I see what you're saying. So you need an underscore there and then a
Yes,
tab.
sir, I'll first find it.
Underscore.
Sir, नहीं underscore नहीं, मैं भी
connect करेगा.
it's grammatically tab is unexpected. The reason why underscore would not be here because because after the word we are expecting a word and when we are means for example after I write I there should be a word gap and then it will be skipping all if it comes in between the rules. Because moreover no underscore is expected here between the words and a heaven. The word in itself places a underscore at them. That would be present here.
So is it like there will be two underscores between two words?
That will be give a wrong grammar. I'll show you.
It doesn't count tab, na?
No.
After
Because we have
it won't count tab.
No,
Then
it
you-
won't. Should be capital. Put underscore. Chinese input. Tab cannot come here. So this is about the console one, console portion of testing. How we can test it on a console. Now I had made a project which was checking whether a particular grammar is correct or not. Actually, I messed up with the directory section and it's all lost. And but
You should mend it right later.
yes, sir.
You can mend it later and
There is always a chance for amending.
Can we look at that generated file which was the one
Yes, sir,
with
of course.
tokens?
Tokens will have only
It was a
First one,
yes,
yes,
sir.
so this
Because
has
Bola is
there was 5 yeah, that one, the tokens one.
Third one.
bottom third.
the third one.
First
Third one. it will have all the tokens being a value will be assigned to everything.
It is not the new field.
Now internally it will be referring to a token by its value being assigned to it.
But we can actually look at the visitor class.
So these are the tokens for the basically the non-terminals, and these are for the terminals since they are fixed, so they are being assigned accordingly.
Can you open the visitor class? So this one is actually base visitor and base visitor.
So
The main work happens in the base, the visitor, the main visitor class, not the base one.
okay, sir. Actually, yeah, the visitor is used when we have to means move the CTX. But since we didn't have any use of CTX here, we were just checking whether the grammar is correct rather than moving into that and fetching values. So we just means like simply did that. Basically, I can show you what happened.
What is that Ola grammar Lexer tokens? What is that?
Ola, tell the third one.
The number is what?
Ola grammar dot
Second row में first one.
Like second row first one.
It's auto-generated codes. Maybe it means like Lexer is using from this file, and that is a general file being generated. Means it's all auto-generated. And since I referred to sir that we need not means write test cases for already generated grammar, so that's good.
Maybe we can show the. You want to see the SQL grammar?
Yes sir. I mean I just messed up.
This will be on the.
Yeah.
This will be put on YouTube.
So I'll just explain what actually happens. For example, we make a project in IntelliJ. We have there our SRC folder. In that we have Java and Scala. In that we create a new folder called Antler. In that folder we create a new file, name it as olagrammar.g4. Things are done. Then we go to means basically that Java folder. We go on that file. We hover on that file and then we go to configure Antler. Means it's an option in the tools. You have to be on that file. Then we go to tools. There it's configure Antler, and there we first give the path of from where the files are being fetched. For example, from the Java where the source code which is being generated is to be put in. There we'll be selecting Java, means that SRC then Java, and then we in the below the column is there. In that we specify from where the grammar is to be taken. In that we go SRC Antler. From Antler we will be picking it, and then we specify we will be skipping the between one, and then we will be going to the means directory in which we have to save the. For example, com.nodlist, it will create like this Java com.nodlist, and in that will be our all generated files, and then we will be specifying the language in which we want to get our output. That would be a Java with a capital J, and then we will do it means OK, and then we will go to tools again. We will go to and configure. Above that, what's that called? Means generate Antler. So it will generate all the corresponding files. Then when we do spt run, it will generate corresponding .class files. This is the process. Basically everything is same, and then
I could have these G4 files. These could be many, right? So
we just have
how
to
does it combine it?
No, we can combine it, but it's good to split if we want to.
We can do that. So how does Antler combine that? We just give the directory path that this is where all the grammar is, and then it does it on its own.
Sir, import works here. Import works here.
Import the base grammar. And then basically whenever you are importing, one is your base grammar, right? So that will be your base grammar, and then you can import multiple inputs. So
We'll be importing it. The code would be available to us, and we'll be generating the corresponding Java files for the file which is present last in the hierarchy. So it will cover all of the above files. The corresponding Java code will be present for that. And then it's there. We first make the object of a parser of a Lexer. Then we give its reference to a parser, and then we on the parser we call that start symbol. Like here it's Polar rules, means start dot Polar rules, and it automatically generates.
And how is Twilio using it for their search? You said, right?
For analyzing the queries, which it's getting.
Yes,
For example,
search which is coming in or
Basically the words, it's a parser, right? So whatever segment you are putting in, is it parsing it to the specific or not?
so for example, we have to see what's trending. So the first word, suppose the first word for that is there, it will pick up the first word from the word which starts with the hash from the tree, and then it will be means like internally, I don't know, it will be organizing the things and it will be making things like that. Basically, grammar is just to know whether a given input is valid or not.
yeah, that's where I'm getting confused because say if I put anything on Google, right? It doesn't tell me it is an invalid input. It just throws some results. It might not be the right
Yes, sir.
result.
It is not giving you, it might not be showing you the valid input or not.
Right.
But maybe for internal arranging of data, right, they may be using the parser.
Sir.
For example, for
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, because like if I say a word plus something else, then that might be getting arranged according to
their. So basically, it is not that you are validating, but you are creating a parse tree and then you are doing those two series.
Or sir, maybe they are not using the parse tree, they are just using like Elasticsearch or some other concept for that, which automatically handles it. So it's just a possibility. You can use it if you have other alternatives.
No, because for input validation it does make sense and it kind of stands out that yeah, this
Yes,
is something.
but for that, sir, the thing is that in Google we can type anything.
Yeah.
There is no grammar governing anything.
Like for search, would I really care about this? Maybe if there is a like a better case like this that ultimately the search string comes in and then it parses it according to the grammar in order to put it into those buckets. And that like this has to be an OR search or this has to be an XOR kind of search or whatever.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that can be a possibility. And so, that's my any questions?
You have plugin available for.
Thank you.